What's going on, guys? This is Jason of All Political. I swim through the politics so you don't drown too. I am just a man trying to bring common sense in a world where common sense isn't so common. Safe injection site brings daytime public Safe injection site brings daytime public sex to East Harlem, getting my own porno show. I've heard of these places where you have, there's supposed to be safe spaces for drug addicts to do drugs. So they give them clean needles and drugs so that they can do it safely. And to me, I'm just sitting there going, so we went past looking at the source of the problem to looking at the symptoms of the problems only to continuing to be a source of the problem. What benefit is there to allowing individuals who are addicts and junkies to continue to be addicts and junkies? How does that help? It's ass backwards way of thinking. Really is. Could you imagine if there was a place for individuals who wanted to safely get off the streets? Imagine if there was these type of services for individuals that no longer wanted to be inside homeless. See how they're just giving them drugs? I'm pretty sure drugs are somewhat expensive if you're giving them clean needles and all of this shit and their choice of drugs. Why don't you help people get off the fucking streets or make proper programs to stop people from being being addicts, being having drug addicts in your society is not a benefit to no one. It is a net negative. Anyway, let's get into it. They're shooting up and getting down. New York City's controversial tax-funded safe injection site has reached a depraved new low, with addicts so zonked out they routinely have sex in broad daylight, often at the doorstep of neighbors forced to endure the X-rated freefall. Nah, I wouldn't have endured shit. I wouldn't have endured shit. You in front of my house having sex? You fucking crackhead? Oh man. Oh man. The Post witnessed the madness firsthand. So the Post witnessed it. This was not a rumor. The Post came around like, what the fuck is going? Oh my God! The Post witnessed it. The Post witnessed the madness firsthand on. Oh God. The Post witnessed the madness firsthand on Point's East Harlem headquarters in a recent Wednesday afternoon, as a horn dog pair was conjoined for 15 long minutes, and kept going even as pedestrians awkwardly walked past. I like you. Look, man. Look, man. You are giving these people all the means that they need to continue their bad behaviors. People like this should not be in public, period. I think it's time to bring back the insane asylums. And I think we need to do it right this time. There needs to be proper checks and balances, and two parties of two different groups, or whichever way it is, making sure that there's no abuse going on. But at the same time, these places have to exist. We got to clean up the streets of these fucking crazy ass cities. We have to. Because if we can get the mentally ill the help they fucking need or remove them from society the way they fucking belong, these menaces and these nuisances, if we can remove this, then we can deal with the criminal element easier. The actual criminal element. Then we can deal with the giving them a solution to these cities that we know damn well they'll fight tooth and nail to do the opposite. Because they don't want to fix the fucking problem. They find it liberating. That's their way of life, right? Toughen up. You know, it's so weird. Because I was in New York City when I was much, much younger growing up. There was a different attitude to New York City where the idea of being tough was it doesn't always happen, but New Yorkers was built tough that when shit went down, you couldn't pull that shit on a New Yorker because you got your shit wiped clean, right? You got your shit knocked clean, right? That was the deal about New Yorkers. We were built tough. Now it's like New York is just, and I'm pretty sure it's other places, but specifically I'm speaking about New York because I look at the New York Post a lot and I just go, the reason why I follow a lot of stories from the New York Post is because the way I look at it is if it's happening in New York and it's happening in California, those are the two pinpoints of what you're going to see happening in the rest of the fucking world. And it's sad because apparently California used to be this great fucking place, amazing place. And New York, the apple of the fucking world, the city that never sleeps is just sad. Anyway, The guy was just doing his thing, just looking around, was just looking around, wasn't afraid of anything. I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it, said one revolted eyewitness who asked not to be identified. Well, they gave him drugs. He's probably high as fuck. Why would he care? He's getting exactly what he wants, and he doesn't even need to fight for it. He doesn't even need to hide it. It's only gonna get worse. The guy finished, and he just starts zipping his pants and walking away. And the woman was still bent over, wondering what was going on. Oh God. So he was just fucking. He was fucking one of them. You ever seen them crack? I don't know if they're crackheads or K2 heads or whatever the fuck it is. That they'll be tilted over about to fall, but they never fucking fall. It's like the craziest Blair Witch Project possession I have ever fucking seen. Right? They're like tilted over and they're supposed to fall, but these motherfuckers never fall. We even betted for them to fall. I'm like, tilt, tip, bitch, tip, right? And they will not fall. It's the scariest shit. And this is my thing. You can see these people from a mile away. These fucking, we call them burnouts. You can see these fucking burnouts from a mile away, and nothing is done. That is what it's like. At least that's what it was like. I'm not sure what it's like now. Um, and the woman was still bent over, wondering what was going on. And then after he got maybe 3 yards away, she said, "Hey, hey, that's it." And he said, "Come on." And then she pulled up her pants and ran behind him. I once had a girl who liked to get high, smoke weed before she had sex. That shit actually disgusted the fuck out of me. Made me stop fucking with her. Was like, "Oh, you don't like it when you're not high?" She was like, "Oh, I like it. I just like it when I'm high. I just want to be high." I was like, "You fucking mm-mm." Imagine that though. Man, this shit crazy. That's crazy. And then she got up and ran behind him. It's disgusting, added neighbor Sinku Baker, who lives across the street from where the raunchy scene took place. The government-backed shooting gallery took the block. I'm sorry, the government-backed shooting gallery down the block where addicts are given clean needles and other paraphernalia to snort, smoke, or inject, or their drug of choice on site. Opened in 2021. So this was 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago. Opened in 2021, along with a second location in Washington Heights. I can't even tell if that's a woman. Since then, nonprofit on sites has hauled in a total of 16.4 million in taxpayer funds from the city's Department of Health, with more than half coming from the Big Apple share of the opioid settlement funds from the Sacker family who developed OxyContin, the drug responsible for causing the opioid crisis. The nonprofit annual budget has blown up from 2.6 million in 2021 to 17.4 million in 2024, according to tax filings. But neighbors, but neighbors have gotten nothing but grief since the site opened and told the Washington Post are only getting worse. Bro, and there's a church around the corner, apparently, a little church. Man, they have sex in our yards. They defecate behind our cars. It's a mess, said Barker, 69, putting the blame squarely on Point for poisoning the block. Baker had a front row seat to a similar incident in June on the sidewalk right in front of her house. There was a woman here. She laid her blanket out. I was sitting there thinking, what is she doing? Then she took off her pants. A guy came, and I'm sitting here going, what? I'm getting my own porno show. Are you kidding me? Man, listen, I am not clean of beating up a crackhead. I've done it. I'm not perfect. I've beaten up a crackhead before because they, listen, listen. I don't pretend to be innocent. The thing is, I'm one of the most non-violent individuals you will find. But when push comes to shove, right? I'll tell you a story. I came home so I was living in a building where I wasn't even given the keys to the front door. But because the building was connected into three, and I lived on the far right side, I would have to sit there and either way, way, way late into living there, learn how to pick open the door after people would break the door open to get in because they just used to let anybody in the building, or I would have to sit there. And when you get inside of these buildings, there was a crackhead that would consistently be sleeping in the the junction between the buildings, right? He would consistently sleep there. And it'd be one thing if he was just fucking trying to get out from the winter, get out from, from the cold. I wouldn't bother him. But a couple of times I'm coming in and it's just getting worse and worse, right? And at one point I caught this motherfucker. He had him and his crackhead girl who looked like she just came from being a home health aide. She had the whole home health aide outfit on. I caught them doing some shit in the fucking hallway. And I told him, I was like, my man, I better never catch you here again. Right. And this was right after I had a young girl over at my place and she's running around in the fucking hallway and I caught a needle. A whole ass, I had a picture of it. I don't know if I showed it on my first channel, I believe. I found the needle on the floor where the crackhead was. Right? They're shooting up. And you're shooting up in my fucking building where I live. Take that shit anywhere the fuck else, right? It's one thing if this individual is just down on his luck, not a bad person, you probably get some fucking help, right? Because even not the super, but you got other people that say they feel bad so they don't say anything, right? But you get what I'm saying? So of course it's only going to get worse. And here's the deal. If these people are getting inside of your building, who else is coming inside of your building? Anyway, wow, just in the open, that's a level of freedom that's terrible. It's terrible, don't get me wrong, but I'm just asking. I'm just thinking, my goodness. I'm sorry, I read a lot of I skipped something. They just don't care, Slam sister Halia Baker, who also lives in the house. It's just awful. Wow, just in the open? That's a level of freedom. It's terrible, don't get me wrong. But I'm just thinking, my goodness, exclaimed another woman who lives on the block in shock. The things I've seen just blows my mind, chimed in Michael Carden, a pipe fitter who works in a neighborhood. I mean, the hookers do anything for stuff. Yo, this man is a fucking meta. He is just fucking. Did he just. Is this the same fucking woman? The city said 6,000 junkies consumed illegal drugs as many as 38,000 times at on points to sanction sites over the past year, and a nonprofit brags about having prevented one. So this is what it is. You're afraid of people overdosing. That's what it is. That's what it is. And the nonprofit brags about preventing 1,800 overdoses since the center opened. But critics argue those overdoses just happen outside their walls on the streets instead. They are just delaying overdose deaths because they don't address the underlying pathological behavior. Yeah, this is the thing. What's going to happen when these individuals get more drugs? Because here's the deal, dog. All that you're doing is giving them drugs for their next high. They're still going to go get high. They're not stopping. You're not doing anything to stop them. You're actually enabling them. All you're doing is continuing the fucking problem. Again, we went from completely ignoring the source of the problem to getting upset and bitching about the symptoms of the problem to making the problem and prolonging it. Stupid. They don't address the underlying pathological behavior, which is really injecting yourself with poison, said Charles Lehman, a fellow at the Manhattan Institute. Look at that shit. Experts say the center is a beacon for drug use and associated behaviors such as public sex to the neighborhoods. This is a shocking behavior for people who have to have in their neighborhood. It's not shocking to law enforcement because this is the kind of behavior that we see in drug-related people, said National Police Association Betsy Bratner Smith. With these injection centers, people go, they get high, and then they give in to their urges. They're going to engage in whatever behavior they feel because their inhibitions have been taken away and they don't really care about societal norms. Of course, why would they? They're high. For years, I fought to shut down these centers that have brought crime and deteriorated residents' quality of life. Some are dangerously close to schools, including one directly across the street from a daycare. They don't give a fuck, dog. They don't give a fuck, dog. They don't give two fucks. Including one directly across the street from a daycare. Rep. Nicole, that is a crazy name, Maliotakis, our Staten Island, told the Post. I am hoping Attorney General Pam Bondi will take action to shutter these heroin shooting galleries once and for all. Fed up residents earlier this year begged the Trump administration to close down on-point supervised shooting sites, arguing they're a clear violation of federal law. That's someone's kid right there. That's someone's fucking kid right there. Probably forgotten. You know what I'm saying? Probably don't have family that give a shit about them. And then they'll sit there and say they slipped through the cracks. They've been operating in a legal gray area permitted under city rules but not under state and federal laws. President Trump issued an executive order last month placing the sites under investigation by Department of Justice with civil or criminal action expected immediately, insiders have told the Post. Americans deserve to feel safe in their cities and towns. President Trump is providing decisive leadership to protect public safety and end the surrender of our great cities to disorder, homelessness, and crime. Yeah, whatever with that bullshit. Again, if they wanted to stop homelessness, they would need to separate the individuals that have been living paycheck to paycheck, like a lot of us have, where we're just one bad paycheck away from being homeless, from the criminals, from the mentally ill, and from people that want to do better. I'll say that again. You got four types in a shelter. You got people who are just down on their fucking luck. You got your criminals, which can end up being people who again, you got your criminals, you got your mentally ill. You got three different bodies that don't belong around each other. Three different bodies that don't belong around each other. And of course, all of these groups can become people that want to do better. If they're working, if they're staying away from crime, they're not doing crime related shit, and they don't separate them, they put them all together and it makes the problem worse, especially for the homelessness, right? If we're talking about homelessness, you want to lower fucking crime? Give these people who again are not related to this type of shit who want to do better opportunities. It's not to sit there and say that bad people are not going to do bad things, but a lot of these people who end up becoming drug addicts, who end up in gangs and shit like this, a lot of them don't even have fucking options. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that they should be fucking voided of doing bad shit. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is it's crazy that they act like homelessness is this hard thing to fucking solve. Now, granted, I don't think you can solve the homeless crisis in New York City at this point, because I remember at one point New York had like 67,000 homeless people. And then when all of these fucking illegals came in, I believe in 3 years, there was like 97,000 illegals that just completely overwritten the DNA of the homeless population in New York City alone. I can only imagine the other places. I'm pretty sure New York is probably the biggest hub. I know there's other places, but just to sit there and say that and then be like, oh, we got a homeless problem. No, if you were able, just like the last video I did where you got the government backing and they're giving not rooms, not studios, whole houses, or 2-bedroom apartments to illegals that's been here less than a year, and you're letting your own people rot on the streets. They can solve any fucking problem they want to. And it's not just, oh, we're going to just throw money at it. They just don't want to. They don't want to look at the source of the problem, because the source of the problem is what keeps the revolving door revolving, giving them money. They don't want to look at the symptoms. They'll complain about the symptoms, but they benefit from the symptoms. So they just continue it. Anyway, the NYPD says it has received 8 calls about prostitution. Why wouldn't there be prostitution in a place where people are doing drugs? And calls about lewd behavior in the area so far in 2025, and has deployed a dedicated officer nearby, one officer, at East 125th Street and Lexington Avenue. Our work is not done, and we will continue to work with all of our partners, including the local community, to create and maintain a quality of life, a spokesperson told the Post. Oh boy, let's look at some of these fucking comments. I already know it's going to be a shit show though. Oh wait, hold on. Mayor Eric Adams, who in 2023 announced 3 additional safe injection sites approved under former Mayor de Blasio, would open by 2025, have quietly scrapped the plan. That dude is a cornball, dog. Let's not mix words. This behavior is unacceptable, full stop. But you announced 3 fucking additional. Man, there's some things you should just be like, yo, New York is gonna have a communist Islamic mayor. It is over. Man. And because people cannot get their shit together. These sites don't benefit society. The only ones benefit them financially, or those who run the sites. Simple solution. Whoever approved these can only open them on the city block which they reside. Bet they won't do it. I bet they try to move real quick. It's always easy to say open these things in my neighborhood instead of theirs. Absolutely. The drugs need to be laced with. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Troll account. There's troll accounts everywhere, dog. I mean, in this case, this is different from Twitter, where there's not like a credit card or a debit card that's tied to it. But come on, dog. But the person in the comment was basically saying that we need to lace the fucking drugs so that they die. Okay. This is what happens when you don't remember the past. How many of today's voters remember the 1960s through the late 1990s? Not that many. Most New Yorkers are probably either dead or moved to another state. I'll still remember hearing the news almost every day when NYC had 6 to 7 murders per night. God damn. But today, get out of here. But today's voters, especially those under 40 years old, only remember the good times. This time around, to bringing it back will cost the city a lot of money because at least back then, the city didn't have a problem recruiting new police officers. Now, those who do remember the good times will be leaving. This is just like Amsterdam, Netherlands, but they realized their mistake and stopped it. New York City has no clue what to do to control the situation because they don't want to control it. The drugs need to be Yo, dude, why is he doing it multiple times? He's copy and pasting the fucking comment. Okay. Politics aside, what kind of society allows us to go on? Who mistakes us for mercy and kindness? These people need help, or they need to be put away in a detention center. That's all that should be done. These are still good people living in these. There are still good people living in these. I clicked and it fucking put the banner down. There are still good people living in these areas, and we forsake them in this manner. New York City needs a hard correction very soon. Can't put politics aside on this. It's the politics who thought safe injection sites would be a great idea. That Morin build the Big Bird. What? That's Bill de Blasio? That Morin build the Big Bird. Of course, he got money for his campaign for this. I agree, but you get what you vote for. See, that's the stupid shit. I hate that line of fucking thinking, right? Where it's okay to just completely forsake and just completely abandon all groups of fucking people, because truth of the matter is New York City doesn't vote. But I think the last 2 elections, New York City almost flipped red. So we just sit there and forsake them because you live in a better place. What happens when that place happens to you? What happens when that bullshit happens in the area where you are? And then you're bitching and crying, and you're going to hear somebody living in a better area. Well, you voted for this. This is what you get. This is the same line of thinking that pisses me off when it comes down to individuals who, remember when the autonomous zones were popping up? And you had stupid motherfuckers sitting there saying, oh, well, let them have it. It's better for them to have it. And then we can just let them have that area. And then we can just secure other places. Like, yeah, so you want to give up land. You want to give up land to motherfuckers that don't respect the rule of law, the rule of the land. You want to give up land to people who want to destroy your fucking country. Because you think it's going to stop there. Because you think it can't happen close to where you are. Because you think it's not going to continue with multiple other places. Stupid. Anyway, I don't want to keep you guys. That's the video. Catch you guys next time. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, if you like what I do, leave a comment. I saw your comment, Lizardbeth. I seen your comment. Appreciate you. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
I need more ice.
You need more ice? What?
I need more ice in my warm soda.
You need more ice, please.
What did you say to me?
He said, you need more ice, please.
Heads up. Well, I'm sorry, I've got to say something. Janet, your behavior this evening has been completely unacceptable. Carl, where I come from, manners count for a lot. I'm sorry I've got to say this, but I simply can't sit back and allow this rudeness to continue. You owe every one of us an apology, especially that poor waitress. And if you refuse, we are taking you home and continuing the evening without you. Do I make myself clear?
You know I'm gonna miss him.
Do I make myself clear?